There's a reason for all of the negativity attached to Japan right now. People do not feel safe, settled. It's very clearly they're being pushed out. And when you look at this article, there's a very damning piece of information being revealed. And it shows exactly why people feel so unsettled. What's up, it's your boy Centron, coming back at you with another analysis video, and I kid you not, that's the wrong name. Total whiplash. Foreign residents react to Japan's changing permanent residency rules. And not just that, but just living there in period. The immigration office that used to go to here, used to unnerve people, now it's a lot deeper. Let's get into the article, man. So foreign residents who have spent years working towards permanent residency in Japan said the government's proposed new requirements have left them angry, anxious, and unable to plan for the future, with some reconsidering whether they can remain in the country at all. Yeah, myself, I had been there for 10 plus years up until this year, and decided to move on because saw the writing on the wall, and the political atmosphere, the local authorities, the government authorities, statewide, nationwide. Yeah, just very unwelcoming place right now, to be honest with you. And moved to another country, and things are going swimmingly. I mean, financially speaking, it's the financial expectations burden upon people, people there. It's ridiculous, man. The changes, which could affect income assessments for applications submitted as early as April, have been particularly unsettling for residents approaching the end of the standard 10-year pathway to permanent residency. That, like I said, had been there for 10 years, could have applied for it, but I mean, not just applying for it, but the surrounding circumstances, the price of the visa, about the application process, just living there itself with the taxes, stacking, just made it not worth it, man. Best apply your trade elsewhere for better financial gains, long-term and short-term. Many like myself have been diligently working toward based on the current rules, but are now suddenly feeling derailed from that trajectory, said Lachey Scott, who lives in the city of Kasai, Hyogo Prefecture. Scott, who is entering her 9th year in Japan, works in academia. In her free time, she farms and is working to create a community studio focused on science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. Her 10th year in Japan will coincide with the implementation of the new requirements. But these are people who are not just coming here for a year or two. They're looking at Japan as their long-term future home, and they're feeling unwelcome. They've put down roots in the community. She's started things, organizations that benefit the locals, benefit the foreign community, trying to bridge that gap, assimilation. But that's not being celebrated. Instead, when are you leaving? Being ousted, being pushed out the door. I may meet the new salary requirement for now, but I'm on contract, not a permanent employee. So that and the new projected 30-year pension requirement based on that salary may negatively impact my chances, she said. To say my anxiety about everything is through the roof would be an understatement. Scott's uncertainty reflects a broader frustration among residents who say their conditions for permanent residency have shifted after they spent years organizing their careers and finances around the existing system. So yeah, I saw that and I thought, man, if I apply, sure I could get it, but with the goalposts being constantly moved, will things shift in the future and I lose that footing, the solid footing that I now stand on? And they're not above taking away that permanent residency, with certain constituents, things falling out of favor and stuff. Like, nobody wants to play that kind of game, when they're looking for consistency, safety, and looking for solid ground. It's just very, very unstable atmosphere for someone to put all their eggs in that basket just to come up with nothing. So Scott's uncertainty, okay. Under changes announced early this year, starting April 2027, Applicants will need to hold the maximum period of stay available under their visa status, generally 5 years for many work-related categories, but before applying for permanent residency. So I mean, that's been commonplace. The policy in hand. But immigration authorities do not publish concrete criteria explaining why one resident receives a 1-year, 3-year, or 5-year visa. So yeah, I had received a 5-year visa, and had been working on that, working under that. But yeah, they don't tell you. But okay, paying your taxes, paying your bills, not having outstanding items. Those all make contribute towards you may be receiving a 1, 3, or 5. So you think your affairs in order, you receive a longer visa. But yeah, oftentimes you don't know really why you were rejected or what's going on. American JR, who works in regional revitalization in northern Japan and asked to go by his initials for privacy reasons, said the lack of transparency leaves residents unable to identify a realistic path toward permanent residency. And this man withholding his name tells you all you need to know about this article, man. People are not even willing to put their name behind a comment because anonymity, they don't want to be targeted. They don't want to be singled out. And that goes to show you that they're not feeling safe. Oftentimes, street interviews and stuff like that, people, showing their faces. I wouldn't be surprised if people want to, make a request for them to be blurred out. So, they won't become a target, of people looking to make an example of them, looking to rain down repercussions on them for speaking out. And yeah, what kind of environments does that remind you of? What kind of countries does that remind you of? And yet, we're talking about a first world country here. If I cannot get a 5-year visa, I cannot apply for PR after 10 years, he said. The government is placing me in a strange chicken and egg situation. Do I put down roots first and then obtain PR? Or do I obtain PR and then put down roots? There's no clear explanation. So yeah, it's putting people in a precarious situation where their long-term futures are up in the air. And no one likes that kind of uncertainty. They want to know what they're dealing with and know that, okay, I do this equals this. Things laid out, in clear sight, but being ambiguous and then, you meeting certain stipulations kind of being ambiguous, it's not giving people the clarity that they need. And you're dealing with someone's, future in hand and where they reside. They can be thrown out, at the drop of a hat. People need certainty, man. And yeah, I get it. You are staying in a foreign country that, things come with that, but you look at other places, a lot more stability, a lot more easier, flow, a lot more understanding throughout the process, transparency. L, an adjunct university instructor in Shimane Prefecture from the U.S., who also asked to go by an initial, has repeatedly received only a 1-year professor visa, despite having worked in Japan since 2017 and being connected to the country through study and sister city activities since around 2010. So all that work means nothing because they keep on, giving this lady short-term visas, and yeah, it's like on a year-to-year basis, and then like, is it gonna even be renewed? And just a lot of anxiety and stress around the situation. Somebody ideally doesn't want to live under that constant fear, pressure of, am I gonna even be here next year? Am I gonna be allowed to be here? Yeah, it affects, how you view things, short-term, long-term, mid-term. Her workplace has constantly expressed a desire to continue employing her, so it's not with the workplace itself the issue, she said, but as a part-time instructor, she receives contracts on a semester-by-semester basis. That means she cannot satisfy the maximum period requirement, regardless of whether she meets other conditions. So that doesn't look good, for a track record. She's being punished for something that you have no control over. She had hoped permanent residency will allow her to contribute more freely in Shimane through education and tourism work without repeatedly seeking permission from immigration authorities for activities outside her main job. Step by step, with all the changes that have been made, I've kind of given up on the idea, she said. So she's pretty much just there right now, and while her job may be kind of like stable as far as like the work, consistent work, she hasn't had the opportunity to have that, long-term security in her mind. Okay, I got a long-term visa here. It's longer than a year. Doesn't allow her to make those kind of moves and have that, that, like I said, that kind of peace of mind. The proposed income and pension requirements have added another layer of uncertainty, particularly for contract workers, older applicants, and those whose income may fluctuate. Because what they're demanding, they want like a 5 million yen or whatever, salary. It's way beyond the scope of even normal Japanese people, and yet you're seeking that for these foreigners who aren't even making anything close to that. Especially a lot of guys and girls who are teaching English. Salary doesn't even come close to that, so it automatically rules them out. So who's going to be there at the end of the day? It's kind of making it clear. The proposed income, now that for American Nick Woolsey, founder and CEO of relocation advisory company Japan Remotely, the pension provisions have created particular concern for experienced professionals who want to use their savings and expertise in Japan later in their careers. Some of his clients are leaving corporate jobs and hope to reinvest their money in rural communities, but might not have enough years remaining in their working lives to build the pension record contemplated under the new guidelines. So, they want to have that security there that, if I put in my time here, I'm going to get, the money back, and that's going to be, it's going to collapse anyways before you even have a chance to reap those rewards. But hey, pay into the system anyway. So people are feeling, a way about that, because you have to pay into the pension system unless you pay into the outside system, and I think even there's stipulations for that. So it's a sinking ship, but it still wants you to stay aboard. It's unfortunate that those so passionate about Japan are affected by politics targeted towards bad actors, Woolsey said. Just like the business visa, manager visa, it seems we are collateral damage. And yeah, it's purely looked at like war, collateral damage. They don't give a shit that, the people in the building, they just sink the whole damn thing. And, what survives, what, can be salvaged, can be salvaged, and they don't care. And indiscriminately target everybody. That's, taboo on the battlefield. But yet they're employing that very same ideology, policy. Indiscriminate fire. It seems like the income requirements are meant to deter the young, and pension requirements are meant to deter the old. Who does Japan want then as a permanent resident? It's a paradox that ultimately may mean no one, he added. And that very well will be the truth, because it doesn't look like, they want anybody. Because, very few people meet those financial requirements. So, they really want the elite of the elite, but you're kicking out people that, you're still getting taxes from. And, leaves you in a further burden, the hole. Because one of the key industries being supported by foreigners is like the nursing industry. And they're making changes, to try and repurpose that with, sumo wrestlers and people out of work being trained to fill in those jobs. But they still need people because the population is still aging, births are still not happening. So we're still running into this conundrum. It's not solving everything. Scott also questioned whether the government's new required level of financial contribution adequately reflects the people already supporting local communities and public services such as caregivers. Construction workers are those under the specified skilled worker visa. Many who are actively holding society up aren't in the high income brackets they want, she said, just what I was just talking about. The proposed financial requirements have also raised concerns that Japan could undermine its own efforts to revive rural regions and address labor shortages outside major cities. Yeah, if you're not in Tokyo, Yokohama, Osaka, maybe Sendai, yeah, these communities are constantly shrinking and dying out. Every year, there's more of a burden on the reigning people there, and then every year people are leaving those places for the concentrated areas. So it's kind of a snake eating its own tail, and it's getting worse and worse each and every passing year. L said salaries in Shimane tend to be lower than those in urban areas. and the prefecture struggles to retain young people and track workers. We're just talking about. If rural areas have to bring in foreign workers to make up for the fact that many young Japanese people don't want to be here, I feel this new salary requirement can make it even more difficult to retain the foreign workers who are needed, she said. Exactly what we're talking about. A national income benchmark could encourage foreign residents seeking permanent residency to move to Tokyo or another major city, rather than remain in communities where they may be more urgently needed. So it just backfired. Just friendly fire all over the place. For some residents, the tightening measures have become one factor in a broader calculation over whether remaining in Japan makes financial sense over the long term. Yeah, leave or stay. It's really a serious contemplation. I have a friend that moved to Japan a couple years ago. Just finally started, maybe making a dent in some of the, financial burden. And then all this new stuff happens, and where does that leave her and her husband? Elle said that if she eventually returns to the United States, leaving sooner will allow her to build retirement savings in dollars rather than yen. Staying in Japan for many years while the yen remains weak could reduce the overseas value of the savings she accumulates. Exactly. When I moved back in 2014, it was a smaller hit, but still lost money because, translating the yen to the dollar cost. And, it being weaker meant less money, in my bank account. And now it's even worse. At the same time, leaving would mean giving up a community in which she has spent much of her adult life. Yeah, just throwing her away. Just forget the financial implications, but just like all that XP, development wasted, flushed down the toilet. There's no recompense for that. She said the policy changes had created a sense of total whiplash between the acceptance she experiences locally and decisions made by officials with no knowledge of her life. They don't give a damn. They're just looking at stats, numbers on paper. Very impersonal. The people who know me are always offering me opportunities to get involved and really become part of the community, she said. But people who don't know me decide whether I can live here or not. Exactly. Your fate is being decided. Not a good feeling, man. At all. However, not all foreign residents reject the government's reasoning. Jake Knowlton, a British education consultant who obtained permanent residency in 2021, said the income and pension requirements could be understood as an attempt to ensure that people settling indefinitely in Japan can support themselves in retirement. But, where's the carrot? Because I'm seeing the stick, but I'm not seeing the carrot. So, attainable, the goals have to be attainable. If it's unattainable for 90% of the people, you leave yourself with that 10%, but then that 10% still has to share that financial burden. So it's going to be elevated no matter what. Pension requirements appear intended to make sure people can support themselves after retirement and that the country does not have to pay out too much, he said. I've tried to interpret the changes not simply as we only want wealthy foreigners, but as an effort to ensure people can support themselves after retirement. The language requirements also suggest the government wants people to be able to communicate without placing the entire burden on Japanese people, he said. That's fair, Cool. I've met people who can't speak a lick of Japanese after being there for several years. You should be able to, if you're a long-term resident, you should be able to speak the language to some degree, at least to a functioning degree. Let's see. But yeah, you have to have financial incentives to protect people, to motivate people to reach those benchmarks. Because if it's unattainable, there's nothing they can do about a company that's only willing to pay them a certain salary, unless you make the company pay them. Because the companies are deciding to pay, those wages, and wages haven't changed over the past 10, 20 years, especially in certain industries like the English teaching industry. So a single person earning the benchmark of 3 million yen may struggle to buy a home, accumulate significant savings, and retire securely without a spouse's income, Knowlton said. Yeah, so it wasn't even attainable before, and now you push that there. You're all but saying, go home. What else could we interpret that as, Knowlton? But he said he sympathized with people who are only months away from applying and suddenly had the rug pulled out from under them. Yeah, it's not fair. It's very blanket. It's not even evaluate on an individual basis. It's just, hey, all you guys, I meet this new, you're almost there, so close. He also warned against allowing the issue to become a dispute between higher and lower earning foreign residents. Rather than telling lower paid residents to find better jobs to leave the country, discussion should focus on encouraging companies to improve salaries and expand the range of careers available to foreign workers, particularly outside Tokyo, he said, which is not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. I get it. People being able to diversify their opportunities, speak more Japanese, sure, but then those people have to be able to be allowed into those positions, which is just not going to happen. It ain't going to happen. So, dead end. All right, I'm going to leave it there, man. All these other things talking about people having possibility to find other options. It's not gonna happen, man. I'm gonna scan these, but individual assessments, that's not gonna work, man. It's the nail that sticks out will be hammered down. Collectivist society, they're not gonna evaluate these things on an individual basis. And then other operating outside of financial benchmarks, they're not willing to do that as well. So nobody's going to be treated as special, especially not foreigners, people foreign to the country. Japan needs immigration, but they don't want to go that route. They're trying to stave off that as much as they can. Permanent residency, as a way to get a house, change their careers, all that's going to be put to a stop. And them not being able to have a permanent future there, Japan's like, too bad. Anyways, man, I'll get up out of here because it's a controversial issue, but it is what it is. I like talking about these things though, and we'll get into it later. So hopefully you'll be back. If not, hope I pissed you off. Like, comment, share, and subscribe if you want. Thanks for watching. Check me out at Centron Anime, Centron Life, or Centron Laughs, or other social media.